everybody, welcome back to the United Stand. On today's show, midfield targets. Elliot Anderson in line to be the top target for Rúben Amorim's midfield rebuild. Rumoured to be £100 million. A lot of people looking at that price tag and being turned off by it. But for a player of that quality, that young, is that just what you have to pay nowadays? Look at what Caicedo is doing for Chelsea. Look at what Declan Rice is doing for Arsenal. Could Elliot Anderson be that player for us? Let me know in the comments, as there's more news coming out from some really good sources around him and him being top of Rúben Amorim and Manchester United's list. Also, Hjulmand. Rúben Amorim pushing for a Hjulmand reunion, worked in Amorim's system before, cheaper, does have an Arsenal tattoo, that is slightly off-putting. Juventus very, very, very much in the race for him as well, it's being reported. Talk about that. Would you like to see him back on the roster? A lot of talk coming out about Angelo Stiller, about Elliot Anderson, about Carlos Baleba, Adam Wharton, but it's gone quite quiet around Hjulmand. Well, reports are back out around that player, who we did look at in serious detail in the summer, so don't count him out. Amorim knows him as well. And Vitor Roque, you've heard that name before. I remember a couple of years ago on the United Stand, I did a video on Vitor Roque when we were linked to him. He ended up going to Barcelona, but Manchester United apparently have put in a bid for this player from Palmeiras. Would you want to look at re-signing him? 20 years old, still young, signing him. He went to Barcelona, didn't quite work out, but Manchester United are definitely on the hunt for a striker. Been linked to a couple of strikers now. Rúben Amorim doesn't necessarily see Xerxes as a striker. He said that himself with his comments. He said he sees him more as a number 10 between the lines. Are we looking at a striker and potentially some sort of cut price deal we can do to add a bit of depth to that area? Would you want Vitor Roque? Linked to Endrick this morning, now linked to Vitor Roque this afternoon. We'll talk about them reports as well coming out from Brazil. But thank you very much everyone getting in the comments already. Any polls you would like running, make sure you let me know. Smash a like on the video, get your super chats in, get all your comments in. Let's get interactive and get through the news. Also, guys, if you've not noticed yet, look at what I am sporting today. Look at what I am wearing. I think I'm the first member of the United Stand to get this Christmas jumper on the show. No messing about. We're in November now. When I'm in November, Christmas. It's the lead up to Christmas. I'm in the Christmas spirit. I love Christmas so much. And what's better to get in the Christmas spirit than this Christmas jumper, which is our exclusive Christmas jumper. It's such good quality. It's knitted. I mean, the quality is really, really good, and the design is excellent as well. You can feel like you're wearing a Manchester United kit, but in the form of a Christmas jumper. Link in the description. Go and shop it because you want to get this on in the countdown to Christmas. So thank you everyone for looking at that, and smash a like. Let's get into it. So first and foremost, this is coming out from Andy Mitten. So Andy Mitten was on the Talk of the Devils podcast. Andy Mitten's got great links to Manchester United. Very, very, very reputable journalist, very good journalist. And he has said this: Manchester United are expected to sign 2 central midfielders in the summer. Elliot Anderson is well positioned to be one of them. So Elliot Anderson, you know, when Andy Mitten's talking about it, he is definitely one of the names on the list, and he's definitely been seriously looked at by Manchester United. I mean, this adds up massively. He passed his audition with flying colours when he played against us. I mean, part of me was like, please stop playing that well, because we want to sign you. You've passed your audition. Like, literally hand him a contract as he goes down the tunnel. But he was outclassing everybody on the pitch. He was fantastic, and he has been fantastic for quite a long time now. He's 22 years old. He's doing really good for England as well since he's been called up for the England side. I don't know how many of you guys in the chat are England fans, but even if you're a fan of international football, if you just watch international football, I'd actually make a big argument for starting Elliot Anderson in the World Cup. Starting him. He's been that good. I don't know about you guys. And Nottingham Forest apparently are slapping a £100 million price tag on his head. He is well contracted to 2029, which means they can demand quite a lot of money for him. But if he pushes for a move, and apparently is open to joining Manchester United, and Manchester United are serious about rebuilding the midfield, and by rebuilding the midfield, Casemiro and Bruno might start to look at other opportunities, and you're rebuilding with younger players that are ready to kind of pass that baton on to them. I think we were looking at around 100 million for Baleba in the summer. Elliot Anderson is looking at around 100 million. Caicedo went for over 100 million. Declan Rice went for around 100 million. These sort of players have fallen into the 100 million category, which is crazy. I mean, for me, I think he's a 60, 70 million pound player. I think he's very, very good, but that's how I would see a player of that position. But for his quality, when you put him up against all the other midfielders in the league and around Europe, you would say, you know, you can understand why Forest are kind of looking at that figure when you look at what the Caicedo's gone for, when you look at what a Declan Rice has gone for, because I think Elliot Anderson can be that sort of player for Manchester United. I don't know what you think. Would you be comfortable spending that amount of money on him? Let me know. I think for what he can provide, if he continues on the trajectory that he's on now, if he can have the sort of impact at Manchester United that Caicedo's had at Chelsea and Declan Rice had at Arsenal, then he is worth that, really, isn't he? He is worth that. And when you look at where this is coming from, Andy Mitten, Manchester United are obviously serious. They'll know his price tag, and they're clearly serious about this. Indy Carlo put out, I think it was last night, that United apparently renegotiating for Carlos Baleba. I personally don't see that, because Carlos Baleba has had a really poor start to the season, and apparently they're renegotiating around £90 million. If you're asking me now, £90 million for Carlos Baleba or Elliot Anderson, based off current form, based off how long they have been performing at the current level at, I would be going for Elliot Anderson, just in terms of he looks like he's got such a cool head on his shoulders. He's stepping up for the national team. He's playing incredibly well. You know, he's settled in properly at Forest now. The only reason he didn't end up getting in at Newcastle is because, I mean, Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Linton and Tonali, it's a force of a midfield, isn't it? I know they've not started the season very well this season, but Elliot Anderson would have been definitely knocking on the door there. I'd be going in that direction. And Indy Carlo or Andy Mitten, who's got really, really, really good connections at the club. So I think it's definitely something to take note of. And Amorim clearly likes the player as well. He was apparently talking to him after the Manchester United Forest game at the City Ground. Name dropped him in multiple interviews as one of Forest's good players. He did that with Cunha before we signed him. For a Premier League proven young player, I think it's 100 million is expensive, but we have to open our eyes to what the market is like now. Emma says Tonali would be a beast. I would love Tonali. I've said that multiple times before, but it's just not going to happen. Go and get them for 60 million. We're happy, says Neo Lover. The thing is, you're just not going to get a player like that for 60 million when he's contracted to 2029, especially if he does end up going to the World Cup and smashing it. They're going to put even more money on him, because that's what that position is going for right now. And I agree with what Jadula is saying in the chat. We have to spend, otherwise our midfield won't be as good as Arsenal's or Chelsea's. You can get players, really good players that aren't that expensive. I mean, look at Sonny Larmans. I mean, look at the wages that City's paying for Donnarumma and all the fees that come along with that. And then, you know, kind of look at what we paid for Sonny Larmans, 18 mil, fitted straight in. By the way, I think Donnarumma's better. Donnarumma's probably one of the best goalkeepers in the world. But when you look at the price differences, Sonny Larmans is a very good quality keeper, but we've not overpaid. You can do it. I mean, I think Brighton originally paid around 30 million-ish for Carlos Baleba. Let me just have a look how much he originally cost. Price, Brighton. They paid... Wait, how much did Brighton pay for Carlos Baleba? They paid 30 million euros for Carlos Baleba from Lille. That is what Brighton paid for him. And if you look at what Nottingham Forest paid for Elliot Anderson, they paid around 35 million pounds for Elliot Anderson then. So they are going to want a little bit of return on that investment, considering how well he's doing and how little time he's been there. And also, you know, you've got to think about it. You can get these players, if you're smart about it, if you scout around, for a lower price. You can do it, but you've got to hit while the iron's hot. You've got to get them before they blow up and start taking the league by storm, or else that price is going to rise and rise and rise. And it's always more difficult for a club like Manchester United to do that. The reason it's more difficult is because the pressure at United, you have to come straight in, you've got to be ready, you've got to be perfect as soon as you walk through the door. I mean, look at what Sesko's already getting, and he's only, you know, he's had one poor game. He's not even barely had any full games yet. He's had one full 90-minute game, and you've already got, you know, pundits out there criticising him. Sonny Larmans has been seamless so far, which is why no one's come for him. But as soon as he makes a mistake at I expect people to get on his back. It's just what happens. Whereas when you go into a Brighton, when you go into a Forest, you're allowed to have a bad game. The stage isn't as big. The noise isn't as big. So you can play yourself into good form, you can adapt to the team, you can adapt to the league, and you can be a diamond in the rough and transform into that diamond, transform into that £100 million player. At United, you don't always have that time, so it's about balancing, getting players in before they blow up. That can be the next Baleba, the next Anderson, but also making sure they are ready. I mean, the question mark is Baleba even ready? His form at Brighton currently suggests he's not. So it's a balancing act, really, when you're at a club of Manchester United's size, for sure. Also with Elliot Anderson as well, like we are looking at the 2026 midfield rebuild. We've already been linked to Baleba, Stiller. We got linked to Andre Santos, didn't we, from Chelsea recently? And I do think he fits a lot of what Ineos are trying to do. I mean, Ineos's method and what they like to look for in recruitment, not every single player, but they want players under 25 predominantly, or around that age mark, and he ticks that box. He's 22 years old. He's Premier League experienced, progressive midfielder, homegrown. He ticks all these boxes that Ineos will like. So I can see us going in that direction, and I can see Amorim and Ineos being united on it, and Anderson could end up being our big money spend, and then you could go for a Stiller for max 50 mil, 150 mil on midfielders. Them two, I think, would transform Manchester United's midfield. So if you look at it like that, a full midfield rebuild to transform an area of the pitch that is so crucial for 150 mil doesn't end up seeming too bad for two young players that have brilliant attributes that can be your midfield partnership for the next many years to come, hopefully, if they produce what we expect them to. And Elliot Anderson has that it's not a risk because he's already doing it. There's such little risk in that transfer, which is why you have to pay big money as well. But look, everyone, get your super chats in. Let me know what you're thinking and feeling about this. And I want to talk as well a little bit about Hjulmand, just because a bit of news did come out on Hjulmand. And Hjulmand is an interesting one because he's played under Rúben Amorim before, and basically this is what's coming out over in Italy, and it is Manchester United have reignited interest in sporting midfielder Morten Hjulmand, and Amorim wants a reunion. Juventus and United both pushing for Hjulmand. United had a €40 million offer rejected in the summer. Sporting want the full €60 million, which is a £50 million release clause. Rúben Amorim coached him at Sporting, sees him as a perfect tactical fit. Juventus are planning a loan with obligation deal to defer the cost, and United are expected to return with an improved bid in either January or the summer, seen as an alternative if a Carlos Baleba deal stalls. Interesting stuff from that. I had thought that Hjulmand had kind of fallen down the list. He was on the list and we did explore that deal, but he never seemed to be a priority. I don't think we'll end up going for him, I'm going to be honest. And I wouldn't be 100% sure on him either. Look, I mean, it's so hard, isn't it? Because when you're bringing players in from outside the top 5 leagues in Europe, I mean, where do you draw your expectations? Look at Gyökeres. He was up there for people calling him one of the best strikers in the world, and he's come to Arsenal, don't get me wrong, he's not been a flop, but he's not doing what he was doing at Sporting. There's different levels to the game, but then again, players have come over from the Portuguese league and have been really successful in the Premier League before. I mean, Luis Diaz is one of them. Bruno Fernandes is one of them. We got Bruno Fernandes from Sporting, and look how brilliant he's been for Manchester United. Arguably the best midfielder in the league since he's arrived in England. Arguably. I said arguably there, argue amongst yourselves, get your comments in. But it's always a risk when you're bringing in a player from a league that's outside the top 5. It's always a risk anyway when it's not from the Premier League, but it can work out. There's many players that come over and do really well, but there's some players that maybe don't hit the heights that you'd expect them to. Puts me off that he has an Arsenal tattoo. I want to be so real about that. And I also think if Amorim liked him that much, surely we would have already been massively pushing for him. I understand that there is a collaborative team effort going on in the recruitment. It's not just Amorim says, I want this player, I want this player, and I want this player, and the board lines up and tries to get them targets. Or else Watkins would be playing for United, Martinez would be playing for Manchester United. It's not just that. Nuno Mendes might be as well, because I know we wanted him last January. Bit of an unrealistic target, but still. I just don't see this progressing. I think it's kind of been and gone with Hjulmand. However, you know, he does know how to play Amorim's system. I don't think it'd be a midfield signing that would blow us away, but it might be a good option, a decent squad option, but it's not something I'd wake up in the morning. I'd seen that we're signing Hjulmand, and I wake up and I'm like, yes, we're signing Hjulmand. Our midfield, it's going to be amazing. Just wait. Liverpool, City, Arsenal, watch out. I'd be like, oh, you know what? He's played Amorim's system. Could probably do a decent job in there, but I'm not going to start screaming and shouting and getting the party poppers out for that signing. So I don't think when we're doing a rebuild, he would be towards the top of that list. I think if we do end up going for Hjulmand, I think it will show that we failed getting other targets. I think Stiller's above him in the list. We know Wilcox and Vivell really like Stiller, and we know they hold big cards when it comes to Manchester United's decision making. Vivell was the one that massively pushed Sesko through. Lemens as well was from the scouting side of things, and I think Stiller's, like I said, I think Stiller's ahead of him. I think Wharton's ahead of him. I think Baleba's ahead of him, and these are all different attributes in a player. By the way, we are going to sign two midfielders, I'm hoping, and I think Anderson's ahead of him. I do think players are ahead of Hjulmand. Therefore, I think he's on the list, but I don't think he's near the top of it. And I think if we end up signing him, it'll kind of show a bit of a failure that we've managed to get our top targets, because we kind of looked at him in the summer when we weren't 100% on anyone and we couldn't get our top target. Probably look at him again if we don't manage to get a Stiller or an Anderson or a Wharton, and it's just like, well, you've not got your top target. So it's something to look at, it's something to think about, but would you go for it? I'm not sure. Also, there's a poll running in the chat as well. Choose one, Baleba, Anderson or Hjulmand. Let me know which one you would choose. For me, it'd be Anderson all day long, but get your votes in. I want to see what the community thinks on this. Smash a like on the video if you've not already. The good news about Hjulmand, though, is that Amorim trusts him. Would he be worth 50 mil, though? I'm just going to quickly look up his age. He's 26. It's a good age, to be fair. It's a really good age of a player to bring into to Manchester United. He is captain of Sporting, isn't he? Is he captain? Is Hjulmand captain of Sporting? I think he is. If I'm not mistaken, I think he is captain. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but last time I checked, I'm pretty sure he does captain Sporting. So you're bringing someone in with leadership, you're bringing someone in that Amorim clearly trusts. I'm talking myself into the deal now. I just don't think he's top of the list, but let me know, would you go for him, would you not? It's always risky. But guys, speaking about players in other leagues and all over Europe, I need to remind you, got some cracking football for you today on That's Football. So Goldbridge will be live tonight with Liverpool versus Real Madrid. Trent is back at Anfield. What a game that's going to be. I cannot wait to watch that one later. Tune into That's Football for a live watch along with Goldbridge. And tomorrow night you have another cracker. It's Man City versus Dortmund. That's going to be a brilliant set of Champions League games for you to go and watch along on That's Football. And on Friday, Bundesliga is back. Werder Bremen versus Wolfsburg. 7:15 that begins for a 7:30 kickoff. Watching the live game, live match footage as it's being played with Goldbridge as well. You've got to tune in. I mean, remember, Wolfsburg is where De Bruyne is from. I always say that that's a bit of a scout watch, that show, so make sure you're there. And of course, on Saturday, we have Spurs. Manchester United have Spurs away, and I cannot wait for that. It's a 12:30 kickoff, so countdown to kickoff is going to be starting very early at 10:30. So got so much football lined up for you this week. Make sure you stay tuned across the United Stand, and That's Football. Right, guys, keep getting your votes in. I want to keep that poll running with Hjulmand, with Baleba, with Anderson, and see what you guys think. I want to get some of your comments in as well, and then I want to talk to you a little bit about Vitor Roque, because at first when I saw this report, I thought, that's rubbish. But then the more I kind of looked at it and it started coming out from different places, I thought there could actually be something in this if you add 2 and 2 together. I mean, I could be adding 2 and 2 and getting 6, but I think it's something well worth bringing into the show, and you can have your say on it and see what you think. Also, just quickly, with the Hjulmand thing as well, I would also bear in mind it might be, because he's been linked to United before, it might be the agent, drumming up interest. There always is that factor to consider. Is it the agent pushing for a move to Juventus, so they're attaching Man United's name to it so it gets more press and it pushes the move through a little bit? Because Juventus apparently are looking at him, they see him as a Douglas Luiz alternative, and they want to start rebuilding the midfield. Sporting probably don't want to accept the offer that Juventus are putting together because they don't want to pay the money straight away. So maybe it's his agent attaching United's name to it to kind of push that deal, because there's been connections before, because it's very easy to link Amorim with Sporting players. That could be the case as well, so bear that in mind. Let me see what you guys are saying in here, if I can get my comments up. Isaac says he's not worth 100 million. That's outrageous. He's a 60 million player. Let's forget these high prices. No one cares if it's Hjulmand, or Hjulmand. He can do one. I mean, everyone always gets onto me for my pronunciation of Hjulmand, but that's how I've learned to pronounce it, and I've looked at the pronunciation multiple times. In every accent, a name's going to sound a little bit different, but I'm hoping that I've done it sort of justice. So yeah, let me let me know. Well, you will let me know in the chat for sure. We've got a couple people mentioning Camavinga again. I know a lot of this community really like Camavinga. I just don't think it's going to be a possibility with Real Madrid, to be honest with you. And SB14 says Anderson was sensational on the weekend, a young Casemiro, and is a must. I mean, he is 22 years of age and completely outdid our team. He was the best player on the pitch by a mile, and he usually is. I mean, when he played for England with loads of England internationals, he won man of the match. He's fantastic. I think a player that is shining that brightly and genuinely could be a stonewall in your midfield for many years to come. If it's going to cost you, it's going to cost you. It's a midfield rebuild. How much did we spend on Sesko? 70 million. I think it was 66 million, and then with add-ons it takes it over 70. I mean, look at Elliot Anderson. He's ready now. He's ready now to start in your midfield and probably be the best player on the pitch most games. So I think you've just got to look at the market a little bit, and I'd go for it. Rob Always United says, love the Christmas jumper, Beth. Thank you very much. Link in the comments. Go and get yours and join me in wearing it. Simply Red says, add CR, Bernardo Silva, Cavallo, Boamorte and Nani to the list. Yeah, that's of players coming over, Portuguese players coming over and doing well. Yeah, there is players that come over from the Portuguese league and do very, very well. I'm not saying there's not, but there also is a little bit more of a risk with that. Next up, let's talk about Vitor Roque anyway. So this is coming out from O Globo in Brazil. And then also there's been a bit come out from Mundo Deportivo in Spain. We know that Vitor Roque was at Barcelona as well, and he's currently playing in Brazil. So this is coming out from O Globo, and it is that Manchester United are ready to offer 42 million for Palmeiras striker Vitor Roque after a 29 million pound bid was rejected. Then it came out from Mundo Deportivo that Vitor Roque's agent has confirmed that there is interest in the player from Premier League clubs. Now, when I first saw this, I thought, surely not. But then as the agent stuff came out, and we got linked to Endrick this morning, and Romano covered that we actually were interested in him, we are looking for a striker, I think, guys. I thought we'd be looking more towards the experienced striker side of things, but I think we're just looking for a bit of depth and an opportunity in the market. And could Vitor Roque be that opportunity? We've definitely scouted him in great detail before. We were looking at him before he went to Barcelona. We really were. Romano had said it on shows that he was linked to us. I remember doing videos on the United Stand about him. Didn't quite work out at Barcelona, but he's still only 20 years of age. He's so young for a striker, and he sort of, got his career back on track by going to Palmeiras. Again, it's not always going to translate into the Premier League, but Palmeiras did fantastically well in the Club World Cup. They've had some good players come through their ranks, and there's some really good players out there in that league, and that go under the radar a lot of times, and United need to kind of look at it in a bit more detail, I think. So since he's gone back to Palmeiras, I need to get in here that he has got his career back on track. Where has it gone? Where has it gone? Where has it gone? Where has it gone? If anyone can tell me in the comments, guys, because my production sheet seems to be deleting information from me. It's probably me. I've probably deleted it by mistake. But he is starting to score quite a lot of goals at Palmeiras since he's gone back, and he's reigniting his career. He's looking really good, and he is attracting interest from other clubs all over Europe as well. And when Amorim said that Xerxes isn't necessarily a striker, he's more of a 10 in this system and plays between the lines, it kind of does give signals and indication that Amorim might be looking for another striker to kind of collaborate with Benjamin Sesko and to add a bit of depth to that position. Would you take Vitor Roque is what I would ask you. Would you take him? Let me know. I think as an option on the market, I would explore it. One thing I would say is I think £42 million is extremely expensive. And you might say 42 million isn't that expensive when you look at a young striker that's got a lot of capabilities, but I think it is. We sold Garnacho for 40 million, by the way. I think 42 million is quite expensive considering where Vitor Roque is at, considering how much of a risk it would be. I think if it's true, 29 mil bid was rejected. I don't think that is true, because I think if that had happened, you'd have Romano talking about it, you'd have Romano report on it. We might have floated the idea to Palmeiras of £29 million. That is more along the lines as what you would be looking at, and I think Palmeiras will want more money, and I don't think United will pay more money to go and get a player like that. Just in terms of him though, we are starting to look over in South America a lot more, and you know, we were linked to Endrick this morning, so we are looking at them styles of players. He's 20 years old still, so he is valued at £42 million. United apparently testing the waters of 29 million already. The club paid 21 million to sign him from Barcelona in February 2025. So Palmeiras already paid 21 million. Barcelona retained 20% of his economic rights, and Palmeiras see him as central to the long-term project, a leader figure at the club. They are open to a sale if the valuation is met. They want true market value for the player. So looking at it like that, they paid 21 mil. Barcelona have 20% of his economic rights, and then they see him as central to the project, but they'll sell him if a club pays enough money. And that is Palmeiras to a T, isn't it? They are going to sell if you offer them enough money. They're going to want more than 29 million then. Kind of looking at it in great details. 13 goals in 28 games in the league is what he's had this season. So not too shabby really for a player of 20 years old. Would you look at it? Would you explore it? I don't think there's probably much in this. I think Vitor Roque would probably want to move to the Premier League. I mean, a lot of players do envision the Premier League as a league they want to play in. And if his agent is saying that there's Premier League clubs interested, I don't think you can count us out, considering we've been in there before. We've literally looked at him before. We've scouted him before. But the price just feels a bit heavy for Manchester United to be spending that on, again, a learner driver that isn't an experienced player that's going to come in and be that experienced figure to help lead the line. Is going to be another player we've got to be patient with. When you're looking at two midfielders, a left-sided centre-back, a left wing-back, I just don't see us forking out 40 million on Vitor Roque, who is a young potential player. I don't know. I like the look of Vitor Roque though. I always have. I've always thought he's got real quality to his game, and I do think he is a bit of a diamond in the rough, but I just don't see United following through with it, to be honest with you. We have a couple people in the comments talking that they wouldn't want Roque. Just because he wasn't successful at Barcelona doesn't mean he can't be successful again. He's still very, very young, by the way. And we have your boss saying United striker must be Premier League proven. I would love to get a Mateta. I would love to get a Mateta. That's the kind of... I'm in complete agreement with you there. If United linked to Vitor Roque for £40 million, I mean, add a bit more money on and go and get Mateta. I don't think we need to actually be doing that right now, to be honest with you. I think we've got other priorities, that being the midfield, the wing-backs, probably another centre-back before we even go for another striker. Give Sesko a bit of time. You've got Cunha who can play there. You've got Mbeumo who can play there. I think Xerxes could do a job there. So I would kind of write off this Vitor Roque story. But I would love for a Mateta, Premier League proven beast, going to come in and do what's needed. He's going to ruffle up defenders, going to score goals, pacey, good on the counter-attack, beast in the box, bullies defenders, love it. That's where I'd be going. Ian Tracy says, personally, I would go for Anderson and Stiller for midfield. If we're looking for a striker, I think we've got to get one more experience to help Sesko. Yeah, Ian, completely agree with you. Nobody in the chat wants Vitor Roque. I do think there's potential there, but I agree with you guys. I'm going to say I agree with the chat. I don't think he's the right type of signing for us. Tom McBride says, Young from Levante. Yeah, thank you very much for your super chat there. My best friend says, Hjulmand is a beast. That's in your opinion. In my opinion, it would be a risk, but that's the beauty of the poll that we've got going on. Also, in the poll right now, choose one, Baleba, Anderson or Hjulmand. We have Baleba 17%, Anderson 73%, and Hjulmand is 10%. So Anderson absolutely storming it, and that's why Forest want 100 mil, because he's in demand and he's probably the best player. Got some Ronaldo quotes coming out as we speak. Wow, okay, so Cristiano Ronaldo's interview has dropped. I've got to bring these into the show. I've got to bring these into the show, don't I? Because this is breaking news coming out from Cristiano Ronaldo in his interview with Piers Morgan. So, this is what Cristiano Ronaldo had to say on Manchester United. I am reacting to this blind. I've not seen the quote. I'm going to listen to it with you guys. And it's this. Manchester United right now don't have a structure at all. I hope that changes in the future, the near future, because the potential of the club is amazing. One of the most important clubs in the last century. As I say, I will always repeat, Manchester United is still in my heart. I love the club, but we have to be honest and look within ourselves and say, listen, they're not in a good part. And it's not just only about the coach and the players. This is what Ronaldo had to say on Rúben Amorim. He said he's not going to do miracles, even the players. United have good players, but only some of them have in their mind what Manchester United is. And do you know what? Ronaldo there, I think that last quote is absolutely spot on. I think it's absolutely spot on from Cristiano Ronaldo on Rúben Amorim and the players. He's basically saying Manchester United have some good quality players, but not all of them have it in them to know what it is to be a Manchester United player. And it's not just about the talent you possess, it's about your mentality, your behaviours, the way you conduct yourself, the confidence in yourself, being able to withstand the pressure of how heavy that shirt weighs. And I think Ronaldo, who has been at the club in its best times and also in a struggling period and does know some of the players in that dressing room, I think you've got to listen to him when he says these things, when he knows players behind the scenes, when he knows people behind the scenes, when he's been there at the best times, he's been there when we've struggled. You've got to listen to what he has to say. And do you know when people say been there, done that? He has been there, he's done that. And if you look at Cristiano Ronaldo, who is the greatest, if not one of the greatest footballers / athletes that's ever lived, he knows what it takes to be a Manchester United player. He knows what it takes to be massively successful. And he's clearly seen that there's people behind the scenes at Manchester United that don't employ the attitude that you need at a Manchester United, where you have it, where you have to win, and you would do anything to win, and you have the talent that goes with that. I agree with him. I think we've got a lot of talented players, but I do think we have in Manchester United, we have a scenario where I think we've got players who are talented enough to be Manchester United players, but don't have the mentality to be Manchester United players. I think we've got players that do have the mentality to be Manchester United players, but don't have the talent to be Manchester United players. And then I think we also have the case where we have players who are talented enough to be Manchester United players and also have the mentality to be Manchester United players. We've got a mixed bag there, and we need all of the above. We need players that are talented enough and have the mentality. But I think we've got a mix in that dressing room. For example, just off the top of my head, I think Cunha and Mbeumo are perfect examples of players that have got the talent to be Manchester United players and also have the mentality to be Manchester United players. I also think that about Bruno Fernandes, as much as I know he is a bit of a hot topic in the community. I think there is players that possess both. Dalot, for me, would be a perfect example of someone who has the right mentality, has the right behaviours to be a Manchester United player, but I'm not sure if his ability is at the level that is required. And then you've got, we've had that for multiple years now, and Ronaldo has clearly seen that as well. So, also, the fact that he kind of said Manchester United don't have a structure at all, and I hope that changes in the future, the near future. Is he talking about Ineos there? Is he talking about Ineos and the Glazers? It's an interesting one. Or is he talking about... I mean, it's got to be, because they are who control the structure at this football club. I would say Manchester United have more of a structure than when he was last at the club, because I do think Ineos have come in and employed a footballing structure. They've come in and they've, brought in the likes of Omar Barada, Jason Wilcox, recruitment team, and they've got a senior leadership team now, and it's a collaborative effort. And I do think we are heading more towards a better footballing structure, but maybe he's still not happy with the way that Manchester United is being run, that I know a lot of people who are Manchester United fans can sympathise with. So yeah, some really, really interesting stuff on Cristiano Ronaldo. And just to kind of round up on that, what I will say is when Cristiano Ronaldo talks, I listen. When he speaks about Manchester United and wanting to have a successful Manchester United, I definitely listen, because he knows exactly what it takes. And he's probably the best player, like talent-wise, that's ever played for the football club. Definitely up there. And he had the mentality to go with it as well. So it's definitely someone I will listen to. I mean, soak it all in. That is what Cristiano Ronaldo has had to say. And I think it will be interesting to kind of see the reaction from that as well. Just last super chats coming in. Ernesto says, I don't think Baleba is finished. Both him and Anderson are young. I think a fair comparison would be Baleba in 2024 versus Anderson in 2025. Elliot could slump too. I think you've got a point. Elliot Anderson has been at Forest now since the summer of 2024. I think you've got a point, because Baleba, last year was taking the league by storm. Anderson's doing that this year. I don't know what it is, though. It might be recency bias, but when I just watch Elliot Anderson and I see what he's doing for club and country, I just think there is no way you're going to drop off. He's just so good. Like, you just got to open your eyes and think you are so good. And you just never, ever really see a bad game for him, a bad 10 minutes. He's just quality from start to finish every game I've watched of him. But I'm going to definitely have a closer eye on him throughout this season for sure. Pizza says he's talking about the Glazers, Beth, major owners since 2005. Yeah, I know that. I know that he's talking about the ownership, but I just wanted to see if Ineos were included in that sentiment by Cristiano Ronaldo. But I think it's very clear Cristiano Ronaldo's stance that he doesn't think that the ownership at Manchester United is best suited to running a club of that level. I think a lot of Manchester United fans would agree with him. And, he originally called out the standards at Manchester United in that Piers Morgan interview. Some people didn't agree with it, but next thing you know, we've got a new Carrington on the way. So a lot of people would say thank you, Cristiano Ronaldo, for doing that. He has a voice where when he says something, it's going to make a wave, it's going to make an impact. So he did that out of his love for the club, and I respect that for him. But anyway, thank you everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video if you've not already. Before you go, make sure to remember that Goldbridge is back on the United Stand for his live show at the earlier time of 7 p.m. tonight, because he will be doing the Champions League watch along on That's Football, Liverpool versus Real Madrid. It's going to be a cracker. Make sure you're there. Thank you everyone for watching. Leave your comments. Who's your two midfielders that you'd want? Do you think there's anything in that Vitor Roque story? Do you think Hjulmand would come back and work under Rúben, come back to work with Rúben Amorim at Manchester United in the Premier League? Do you think he is someone we should consider for a bit of a cheaper price? Elliot Anderson, is he worth that 100 mil if he is really going to be that transformative and be that midfield replacement for the likes of Casemiro or Bruno Fernandes? Would you do it for that cost? Think about the market right now. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments. I can't wait to read them. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.